This is a revision on the T2 setup for the SCG 003C. Since on the PS4 I don't have Le Mans, I am just going to run on Silverstone. Silverstone has similar high-speed corners and slow-speed corners as well. So it may not have the top speed that Le Mans has, but it has, like I said, similar high-speed and low-speed corners. Also, the track grip might be different. Alright, first I'm going to actually show the setup. Alright, so this is T2.1. The setup is a little bit more stable for more consistency, while still being basically as quick as it was. I've moved the brake bias forward from, let's see, what did I have on here? Load from 63. 63 was a bit much for this track. There's a lot more trail braking involved, and it's hard to keep the car stable with the brake bias so far back. So it's at 67. Aero, I reduced the rear wing as much as possible, and that one notch is it. I tried the front spoiler at 1 and the rear wing at 4 and 3 and such, and I couldn't get any performance out of it. It just either understeered at high speed or locked up or wasn't able to maintain grip on the brakes with the lower downforce. The drivetrain, I've tried opening up the coast differential, but it affects the braking performance. It makes it a little bit more snappy on the brakes, so it'll snap loose. So I'm leaving the coast at maximum, but I did reduce power down to 80. I tried it at 40 and 60, and it was just it allowed for a little bit more rotation at high speed, but I didn't see any benefits in the low speed corners. Let's see, yeah, the suspension, like I said, it's a bit more stable than before, but it still has a similar performance level. I reduced the front camber a little bit. These are going to change. It should be around 2.6 actually. Let's see. There we go. I think 2.6. Yeah, 2.6 is where it's supposed to be. For whatever reason, the left and right isn't the same for the rear. Let's see. Yeah, so this is supposed to be at 2.6. Live camber over there on the left. Oh, where was that? There we go. Okay, 2.6, and then the height I adjusted to give it a little bit more rake. It has 3 centimeters of rake, as opposed to like 1.5 or something it had before. The front suspension's at maximum, and the rear suspension is at minimum. It allows you to just get on the power just a lot more effectively. And I would increase the rear anti-roll if I had the ability to, but I can't. And so it kind of just grips everywhere. I would like it to have a little bit more rotation mid-corner, but 10 is maximum in the rear. I seem to have found out that the car has just a inherent issue. There's two possible causes that I think it might be. One, the wheelbase is too short, and so it as the term coined, it just glicks you. You get glicked. Or the engine is too far in the center. It needs to be further back. It's with the weight distribution too much in the center. It wants to ride a razor's edge when fighting for grip between the front. The front outside tire and the rear outside tire, and it just becomes snappy. If it was a little bit more, if the engine were a little bit further back, it would slide a bit more gradually, and it would slide a bit with a bit more rotational momentum, but it would be more controllable, because it wouldn't be so snappy. Anyway, dampers. These are the dampers. I think I found near critical damping. Probably critical damping is around 17 or 18. So it's actually less bumpy now with the softer dampers. This is closer to critical damping than the compression. Same with the rear. I think 12 is probably 12, 13, or 14 is around critical damping. Otherwise, it's over dampened for the spring rate at 70. That is, and 4. I have it down at 4 to increase transitional stability. Not necessarily when you're going through an S bend, but when you're gradually turning the wheel, it has a bit more rear end grip, so it doesn't snap loose at high speeds. However, it is a little bit wobbly in the S turns, so you have to be careful if you're going down the long straight at Le Mans and you're going through the chicanes. You have to be a little bit delicate through there. Also, I've changed the travel range. I've reduced the travel range in the front so that if the suspension bottoms out, it hits the bump stops instead of hitting the bottom of the car, which I don't think it would bottom out with the front suspension so stiff, so it doesn't really matter anyway. And then I've increased the travel range in the rear, just because I can. And the bump stops are still, wait, let's see, I actually want to reduce this. I had the ride height at 103 before, but I lowered it. So this actually needs to go down to 1 centimeter. I want to have around 2 centimeters of rake if the car bottoms out. So I'm going to bring this down to about 70 probably. 70 is probably fine. Alright, so probably 78 actually. That would be exactly 68. What am I doing? Here we go. 78 would be exactly 2 centimeters of rake according to the travel range in the front, I think. I'm not quite sure how it's measuring the travel range, but I'm pretty sure the travel range is just the distance between the resting height and the bump stop. That's what it says over there on the right, anyway. So anyway, I want to make sure the rear end doesn't squat at high speeds lower than the front. It would cause the under tray to have the rake in the opposite angle which is not good. Anyway, that's all distinct. I'm going to go through one more time in case I missed something, just clicking through. Alright, I'm going to save the changes I made. Let's see. Here we go. Save. And do some laps. Hopefully the tires didn't get too cold sitting there. I could reduce the braking distance by moving the braking bias further back, but it becomes a little too difficult to control while trail braking. And you can, it's 66% is pretty good for trail braking, but it can get a little oversteery if you are a little bit sloppy on the brakes. You can probably run at 65% once the tires heat up. The brake bias, that is. Yeah, it's getting a little loose, I mean, on the brakes. The trail broke a little too deep into that turn. A little wide. Let's turn on the timing. So with the softer rear suspension, you can get on throttle a little bit earlier without it snapping loose. But you can't just floor it everywhere. It'll break loose if you try to floor it mid-corner at maximum steering. No, I didn't have to slow down that much. I'm just going to try and keep it clean and hit the marks. I'm going to brake early here. I can't figure out the best line through there. I want to cut the curb, but then it pushes me out wide. But I don't want to slow down too much to get a straighter exit either. Maybe I just have to take the grass or something on the inside. A little too wide. I can't do a full setup walkthrough or suspension adjustment walkthrough with these kinds of simulators, because it would literally take 8 or 9 hours, and it'd be an 8 or 9 hour video. Wrong gear. I've been driving this car for several days, trying to figure out how to de-glick the Glickenhaus, but it just can't be done as far as I know. Maybe someone can do it, but I can't. But it certainly is a lot easier to drive, and that may help you avoid getting glicked. Brake early so I don't shell brake. So I don't know if I want to carry more speed in that out of that second turn, or that's what happens when I try to carry too much speed into the last turn. I just end up pushing wide on throttle, and I could increase the rear spring rate to get a little bit more throttle rotation, but then it becomes a little too knife edgy with this weight distribution, and that makes it harder to drive. And you could burn some pretty quick laps with a little bit more spring rate in the rear, but it's pretty inconsistent if you make a little mistake. I could brake a little later and turn in earlier there. If I were consistent, I'd probably be getting the 1 or 204s pretty easily. Oh, late on the brakes. Speaking of inconsistency, there goes all my time. Yeah, I think I need to carry a little bit more speed into that last turn. Oh, that's slick. Too much throttle too early. Oh, I can shave like 6/10. I think if I just drove consistently. Okay, I need to slow it down. Entering the corners too quickly. can get on throttle earlier out of that out of that turn. A little too turning a little too early. Is that how I'm supposed to do it? Nope. Definitely going slower. So I need to keep in and then go wide in the entry of that last turn. Of the last turn of that chicane. Alright, one more lap. Just gotta drive a little bit cleaner. Too hard on the brakes. Didn't straighten out my exit out of the turn. I lost a little bit of time. Didn't get a good exit. That was the exit I was looking for. So I can shave probably, 6/10. Probably 8/10 now. Yeah, if I drove a good lap, I could shave another 8/10 or so off the time. Probably get a 2:03.9 or something. Anyway, hopefully, if you decide to use this setup or these settings, then hopefully it works out for you.